Welcome to Leveraging Inspiration, the Inspired Patent Podcast, where we help you understand and leverage your intellectual property. I'm your host, Wayne Carroll, and I'm excited to bring you insights and stories from the success and failures of others and teach you how to win at the game of intellectual property. I always start with the disclaimer: this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not providing legal advice. Nothing in this podcast should be construed as creating an attorney-client relationship. This week, we are covering internal company IP processes, the culture, the life cycles, and your intellectual property team. And specifically today, we're going to talk about the life cycle of an invention, from the secret to a patent to a brand. The life cycle of an invention is like a thrilling mystery novel, starting with a secret and ending with a brand that stands the test of time. Buckle up and let's dive into this captivating journey. As a small business owner, you are writing the story of your business day by day. As you understand intellectual property, you can write your story with greater success and competitive advantages. Now, every invention begins as a secret. The inventor, it's in their head. Or if it's a group of inventors, it's just between them. Nobody else knows. At this stage, companies can determine how they want to deal with this secrecy. A lot of companies create policies where that secret only gets shared internally. In larger companies like Apple, they utilize their employees who are under non-disclosure, non-compete agreements to get feedback on their invention, kind of do some market testing internally and test things. For smaller companies, that might not be as possible. So it's an evaluation at this stage of while it's a secret still, is to determine what are you going to do with it. Are you going to patent it? So that there's a lot of questions that you need to answer, but the first one is, do you really think it's a viable idea that's worth investing in? If it is, then you may consider filing a patent. Of course, a patent is going to protect the idea, the structure, or the method. That's what a patent will protect. Now, patent means open, or it comes from the word open. And so when you file a patent, it's not immediate, but you're committing to opening, exposing the idea to the world. So it's no longer a secret. And it's the exchange that the government set up to let the ideas be shared so other companies can learn and use them eventually when your patent runs out, in exchange for a limited, so in this case it's 20 years from when you file, a limited right. The default for publication in the patent office is 18 months after your first patent application is filed on that invention. And so the plan is, when you file a patent, that it's going to become public. You can, depending on your strategy, decide, we don't want that 18-month publication. We only want it published if we're granted a patent. That excludes you from foreign filings, but if you're not going to go for foreign filings, that's a good strategy, because then you file it in the patent office, you keep it as a secret, and if the patent is granted, then you expose it. That works best for something where a patent would be more valuable than a secret, but the secret is still valuable. So when with the life cycle and invention, so it starts as a secret. You need agreements with whoever is going to know the secret to keep it secret until you're either it gets published, and even when it gets published, there are going to be parts of it that are still going to be secret. And so you file a patent application, it's going to become public, and then your next stage is going to be whether it's through the patent or through your advertising, you're going to publish the idea. You're going to let other people know at some point to work with you. And that might be through advertising or marketing the idea to companies that will be taking this on as their product, a licensing deal, or just advertising to the market that you're making and producing these and it's available for sale. Once you start doing that, if that's the route you choose, that you're going to advertise it for sale, then it makes a lot of sense to consider your brand. So that's the next stage in the life cycle of a patent. And if this is done well, you can establish the brand as an authority and use that exclusive right for many years. Even if the technology moves beyond and the patent isn't as useful because the technology has moved beyond, if you built a brand around that technology, if you've been able to get people to recognize your company as innovative, coming out with new ideas, and so they will expect when they see the next idea, hey, that's a positive, that's a brand we like. So you can build a brand and that can last as long as you use it. I have shared before, there's cautionary tales when you're creating a brand to actually make sure the brand is focusing on who is offering it. One of the examples is the escalator. It was created by a company, and instead of saying this is a device offered by the company called Escalator or the Escalator brand, they said this is an escalator. They allowed people to, over years, continually use the term escalator for what it is, not for who is offering it. So with a new invention, you got to be careful to make sure you're using the trademark properly, that you don't educate the public into destroying your trademark. So some of the things you can do to advance your patent in the life cycle of a patent is to subscribe to this podcast, Leveraging Inspiration, to learn about intellectual property and know what can be protected and how to protect it. So you can listen live on ibgr.network on Fridays at 3 p.m. You can also go to my site, leveraginginspiration.com, to see archived episodes. And please go ahead and subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. You can subscribe and get the latest episodes. The next thing, if you're considering to invest in a patent with your invention, really the first thing that makes sense in a lot of cases is a patent search. How broadly can you get rights in this patent? And sometimes the patent search comes back with, well, you can get a patent, but we're going to have to make sure we narrow it in this way. And then you need to evaluate, is that narrowing, is that going to protect you sufficiently that you've got good, is it going to be worth filing a patent on? For some inventions, absolutely. For others, it's a question. You might need to go do more market research, gather more information to find that out. So after you do a search, if your business goals and plans and the information you gathered looks like it's a good investment, then you need to file for a patent. We've talked about patents on previous podcasts and looked at the deadlines and the timing. So go back and find those if you have any questions on timing. You also, the next stage might be licensing, as I mentioned. We encourage you to consider whether licensing or sometimes partnering with established businesses is a viable option for bringing your invention to market. A lot of times licensing can be done in a way that doesn't take away your market. If you're producing your invention, sometimes there are ways to find other uses for the technology that is in another market or another technology area, but still uses your technology, and you can license your invention to them as well. And as you, when you establish a brand, the brands are getting more and more crowded. The number of trademark applications has doubled in the past couple of years, and more you really need to do research and find out, does somebody already have something too close to this brand? And you want to do that before you launch your brand. And once you found something that's available, the best way to secure it is by filing a federal trademark application. There are renewals for that trademark, and you can keep renewing it as long as you're using it. And the other things that is going to be in this life cycle of patents and trademarks and trade secrets is monitoring what's going on, monitoring to make sure others aren't using your trademark, your patent, and watching the agreements you have with your trademark or with your trade secrets, the non-compete and non-disclosure agreements, looking at those on a regular basis and say, do we need to do any enforcement actions? And we're going to talk more about how to set those up and what the policies are and what you're going to need to do. So you can take a step today by scheduling a consultation with me. For listeners to this podcast, I offer a free consultation. You can find that a link to that either in the show notes, or you can go to a web address we have of z3ip.com. That's Z as in zebra, the number 3, IP as in intellectual property.com. I'm Wayne Carroll, and this is Leveraging Inspiration.